Yeah, just wait.
Well, it was a little too sketchy for me to get down onto that arch.
That's it's a little wild, yeah.
I got close enough. I don't need to be a hero. There's the other hikers down there.
You see them?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Are they holding hands? We gotta still find where Volte crashed.
Yep.
January 29th, 1939. Mm-hmm.
We got about a 50-foot line of sight. And we're in a general area. Pretty eerie being up in these mountains in the fog like this, searching for a plane crash. Welcome to my world. We're going to talk mainly about military vehicles, solar power, and self-sufficiency. But I also like to live life to its fullest potential. I do this through music. Specifically, I'm a drummer. Music runs through my veins, and I'm also going to discuss the various equipment I use and throw in a few covers. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to the channel. Hey YouTube, Vermont Prepper. I'm in Sedona, Arizona right now with a bunch of friends here on vacation for an entire week. We already got to do a bunch of different activities, including going on a four-wheel drive trail in a Jeep yesterday. And I'll be doing that again today, except going out a little bit further and seeing some of the really cool rock formations in the area. We started out driving toward a remote trailhead in our trusty Jeep that led up to the Volte Arch, named after the famed aviator Gerard Vultee, who crashed in that area in 1938. I looked up the trails. These are considered moderate, actually.
Really?
Yeah. In my company were two longtime friends and former co-workers, Janet and Mike. We chose to trek out to the Volte Arch since we were drawn to the story about Gerard Vultee, his fame as an aviator and entrepreneur, and how he and his wife Sylvia both met their fate flying their own plane over this forest in a blizzard during one day in January of 1938. Each of our backgrounds also had something to do with our interest. Janet is a veteran airplane and helicopter pilot as well as an engineer. She's one of the best pilots you'll ever meet, and she was instrumental in helping me get my pilot's license. Mike and his wife Trish, who also happens to be a good friend, are adventurists who've traveled the globe on African safaris to Mount Everest and to a number of other exotic places. As for me, having an aerospace engineering background and being a hack or non-current pilot, I was pretty much along for the ride. But hey, I've got the gadgets, such as my loyal Garmin watch, along with a Gaia GPS subscription, which would prove very useful the following day in navigating the back roads of the Coconino forest. So here you have some friends bonded by time, as well as a thirst for adventure. And so our story begins, in the search for the ghosts of Gerard and Sylvia Vultee.
Looks good.
All right, we're going to hike up to Volte Arch. About a mile. Hey, take care.
Wait, I gotta set my activity. It's gonna be cold, huh?
By the time you get up there, it'll be hot. As we hiked up to the arch, we couldn't help but think and talk about what might have been going through Vultee's mind as he was flying through a blizzard in these mountains. But I want to first take a step back and give you all a short biography of Gerard, aka Jerry Vultee, who was little known outside of aviation circles, but nonetheless played an important role in aviation history, helping to introduce the engine cowling, fully retractable landing gear, replaceable fuselage panels, and large wing flaps to reduce landing speeds. Vultee was originally from California, and he graduated at the California Institute of Technology as an aeronautical engineer. Out of school, he started working as a draftsman for the company now known as Lockheed, and eventually he was promoted all the way up to chief engineer. In this role, he was instrumental in designing and building the first American low-wing commercial aircraft with fully retractable landing gear. Unfortunately, the Great Depression cost Vultee his job, and after bouncing around at a few different aircraft companies, he connected with Vance Breese, a respected aviation engineer and test pilot. Together they worked on a new 6-passenger commercial plane dubbed the V-1, with V being for Vultee, of course. The V-1 was the fastest plane of its kind, clocking in at 235 miles per hour. This design helped him to secure funding to establish the Aircraft Development Corporation in 1932, and they quickly received an order of 10 by American Airways. It was shortly after that Vultee met his wife Sylvia while surfing in California. Sylvia was a Hollywood socialite and daughter of a renowned 20th Century Fox art director. They married in 1935 and actually set a world record by flying from Los Angeles to Mexico City in a new V-1 aircraft during their honeymoon. They routinely flew together across the country to various business meetings and events. After a few reorganizations due to changes in aviation and finances, in 1936, Vultee acquired the assets of not only the Aircraft Development Corporation, but also Lycoming and the now infamous Stinson Aircraft Companies. Out of this conglomeration, the Vultee Aircraft Division was formed. As an astute businessman, Vultee's instinct told him there was a growing threat of war, which led him to convert the V-1 into a dive bomber, dubbed the V-11, also known as Vultee Vengeance Dive Bomber. The orders started pouring in, and Vultee had to secure a larger facility and relocate the company from Glendale to Downey, California. His company quickly grew to over 1,500 employees. In the meantime, Jerry and Sylvia welcomed a son in 1937.
This is cedar.
Cedar wood.
Yep.
I got a chest from my grandfather made out of cedar.
That's if you're hoity-toity.
That's if you're rich.
Right.
Remember.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gotta get the balance between.
So we're walking through two sets of rocks through a, what would you call this, a valley? Would you call this a valley?
Yeah, valley.
Yeah, it's down along where the creek is.
Dry creek bed.
Yeah. It's down, yeah, I guess it's over there. It's just, these are sights you don't see back east.
No, you don't see those in Vermont. Vultee Arch, right?
Yep. So he crashed around
Los
here.
Angeles had limited success before merging with the Consolidated Aircraft Corp. Interesting.
Wow, look at the view that way.
Not to read more about the crash. Or maybe he was trying to cut through the canyon here and got a downdraft. Coming down is usually worse.
Yeah.
They're like 20 steps always.
Here we are at Vultee Arch. Wave, Don. All right.
Well, it was a little too sketchy for me to get down onto that arch.
That's it's a little wild, yeah.
I got close enough. I don't need to be a hero. There's the other hikers down there.
You see them?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Are they holding hands?
When we got back to the house from the arch, we couldn't stop thinking about how close we probably were to the actual crash site. We thought that it would only be natural for us to try to find the actual crash site, which was supposedly no more than a mile from the arch. So we started doing some research on the internet to pinpoint the location. While there have been videos of others visiting the site, including Voltee's son, we could not find any coordinates posted. We scoured reference websites, forums, and YouTube, and the best clue we could find was sort of like a treasure map, where an X marked the spot. After hours of research, we felt pretty confident that we identified the general area, which was about a 2-hour drive through some back roads in the Coconino forest, and this was after a rare snowfall. With about a week before the 83rd anniversary of the crash, we started out early the next morning in our trusty Jeep Liberty to Mount Wilson, quoted to be some of the roughest country in Arizona. All right, we're in the Coconino forest outside of Sedona near Flagstaff, and we're trying to find the Volte crash site. We navigated to the Volte Arch the other day, and the crash site is a mile north of that. We actually drove as close as we possibly can, and now we're gonna trek probably nearly a mile. All right, we believe we're on the right road according to Gaia. And again, the crash site is not on Gaia, but we believe we've triangulated it to a small area, so we think we know where it's at. So we're roughly at 7,000 foot.
Yep.
They put these logs across.
Yeah, there's logs across here.
Well, we're on the road.
So that nobody drives
on that tree
up
that said
this
no motorized
road.
vehicles.
Trees and logs, but we're on the right road. All right, so basically we're going to cross the county line on the map,
Sheer drop right there.
and then we're going to head down. Well, I sure am glad that I marked the car with my watch. It's pretty foggy, and you can really get disoriented in these woods here. So we believe we're about 1/4 to 3/10 of a mile away.
Old cable.
For reference, if you see Banjo
I'm wondering if we should.
Banjo Bill Campground on the map here, which is right above
I mean, it should
the
be
forest
that way, right?
But I'm
sign
wondering,
right
should
there.
we stay left and then angle over? Because I'm worried. I think I remember somebody reading that if you go along the
I
ridge,
think it's even with that.
harder.
Okay.
'Cause I think you're.
Banjo Bill is right above my thumb, the campground. To the left, right where this ridge is right here. It might be hard to see. Right before that ridge, if you look at the triangle where we're at, is where we believe the site to be. We got about a 50-foot line of sight, and we're in a general area. Pretty eerie being up in these mountains in the fog like this, searching for a plane crash. About 2,000 miles from Vermont. Yeah, it's around here. We're here.
Keep your eyes open.
We got it! Yeah!
Yeah, he's gonna hit a little.
Holy shit.
Here, Janet. Hold it for a sec.
Yep. 38.
Here's the wreckage. The flight burned upon impact.
Come here.
Cell service is spotty. Can we talk tonight? Question mark.
Cool.
Very cool. What's this one say for Sylvia?
Yeah, it should be.
Come on.
Oh, it's just two. Well, they both say the same thing. They just
Oh.
have two for
Aircraft
each of them.
designer on the one.
Yeah. This one looks older.
Yeah, but it lasted pretty good.
So Janet is a pilot. Janet, what do we have?
All right. So, coming back here, this is the tail. It's a fabric covered, Stinson was a fabric covered aircraft. So that's why the tail looks the way it does, because fabric covered all of these. This, in fact, the left tail here is in better shape. So you can see the structure of the tail. And then this is the elevator here. You can see the hinges where the elevator would pivot. And then here's your vertical stabilizer. Here is your basically hinges for your rudder. Rudder is missing. It could have been a fully fabric and wood. We'd have to look that up.
This would be
Well,
your
it's completely
rear
missing.
wheel.
Yeah, that's your tail wheel.
Tail
buried in
wheel.
the
And then here's your strut for your
main
front
landing
wheel.
gear.
Main landing gear.
Rear wheel. Where's the main landing gear?
Up here.
There's two big struts up
I think
there.
this is some of the fuselage tubing here. Probably wing attach point. Wings might have been made out, the wing spars might have been wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was it, 1938, right?
Here's clearly this is exhaust. This is
Heavy
it's still universal today, how or induction or exhaust, but it's you can tell it's heavier than the other tubing.
Yep. And then yeah, those wing spars are very substantial.
This is exhaust. It looks like here, part of the exhaust manifold, and that would make sense.
Yep.
The stainless coil.
What the heck do you think this is?
Engine mount probably.
Oh yeah, right up under the front there.
These are wing spars, Janet?
No,
what are
they're
these?
the landing gear.
Landing gear. Front landing gear.
Yes. Yeah, the hefty front landing gear. Still has the brake coating and
Caliper on it.
well, yeah, over here you can
Oh,
still
yeah,
get
look
the
at
serial number on this side of
I think it had fairings on the wheels, so that's what you have all this here. It probably some sort of
Protection.
fairing for air,
Yes,
for
fairing.
aerodynamics.
Oh yeah, because it would have been fixed. I
Yeah, this
would
is a fixed
assume.
gear,
Yeah.
and you feel that weight of that. That's
Well, yeah, because
That's
the whole
steel.
plane lands on it.
this is
Left and right, right? Or right and left.
Yeah.
Whatever. Man, that is heavy. That is heavy. That's all your
Mhm.
weight right there.
What is that?
I wonder if that's an
This
engine
is
mount.
this is the part right here. Broke off.
Oh yeah, look at that.
No, but what's
No, it's not.
That's
No,
for
it's
the-
not.
That's not.
Looks like a fuel line
But
right
it's
there,
it's
right?
the same mount
No,
there.
it's not a fuel line.
Yeah, that's the same mount.
Yeah, because this piece broke off. Heck, looks like right there.
That could be.
So that's your mount to
Yeah,
your
it looks,
Probably the
it looks
airframe.
like it. It
Airframe
looks like
mount.
it.
Yeah.
Looks like it's right there. It goes right there.
Yeah, it's got the same break point.
And then here's your probably wheel fairings, the cover. So
Yeah,
he
that's the
broke
wheel
off
fairing
the
covers.
landing. He broke off the wheel assembly here.
Yep.
Question is,
Well, look. Look, right. I think we're right on the edge right here.
This is crash site of Sylvia and Gerard Vultee, pioneer aircraft designer, January 29th, 1938.
I'll bring up a picture of the Stinson
So here's the location of the site. Right there.
Okay.
Perfect.
Act as a second ago.
All right, we have a big drop off
look,
right here.
Cleared.
Oh yeah. Wow.
We are way up here. It's roughly 7,000 foot.
I'm bringing up a picture of the Stinson.
Okay.
Number 71.
7,100 feet right here.
I know.
You don't want to go down there.
So he was heading west towards San Diego when he crashed. Hold on. What's that, Janet? Curve
I think
piece.
that's part of your engine mount here, because it was a radial engine.
Oh,
Oh, interesting, yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
It's heavy. Yep. That's part of the engine mount.
Yep.
So, where's the engine?
Either taken or...
Where did he crash?
Probably be pretty hard to find a crash site after all these years.
I know.
38. What are we looking at?
The impact. So you think that's a seat frame?
Could be,
Why do you think that?
because this looks like something like it would slide in tracks here. And you have a pull here to release the, you know,
Make it go
the
forward
locking-
and backward?
Yeah. And this is usually like they have something like this to slide in the tracks. I mean, I don't know how the Stinson's built, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So this is pretty cool that we found it
Yep.
with the help of some good research. Gaia GPS, a Jeep Liberty,
Yep. Yeah,
and perseverance. That's what it's all about.
that's exactly what this is. First of all, fuel valve, look. And,
Is that part of the engine?
yep. Yep, part of the cylinder.
Look at that.
Yep. Yep. And there's part of the exhaust. You can, or the it could be the intake manifold too. But as you see, it's a circular. I think it's exhaust by the weight, but it's a circular because it was a radial engine.
Yep.
Yep.
Cool. All right, so we made it back to the car. It's about a mile from the crash site. We'll be heading back right now. It takes about an hour and a half. Pretty cool expedition. Based on newspaper clippings and our own research, here's what we believe happened to Gerry and Sylvia Vultee. On January 29th, 1938, at 8:25 a.m., Vultee and his wife took off from Winslow, Arizona in their Stinson Reliant aircraft en route to San Diego from New York, where their 6-month-old son was staying with relatives. They never made it. Their flight path took them head-on into a major snowstorm. Without a transmitter to radio ahead for weather reports, they likely flew into the storm totally clueless. Their bodies were found a day later on a plateau on Mount Wilson by a search party of 100 people who braved extremely hazardous conditions to reach the site. It was reported at the time that it was believed the aircraft experienced engine problems. Additionally, at least in my view, without de-icing equipment, the aircraft was doomed once it entered the blizzard conditions. Donald P. Smith, Gerry Vultee's close friend and vice president of Volte Aircraft, wrote a letter to Time magazine about Vultee's death, and I quote, "Gerard F. Vultee, not Gerald, my close friend and business associate for many years, was killed when the cabin monoplane he was flying with Mrs. Volte crashed on the flat top of Wilson Mountain. Caught in a local snowstorm and blizzard with no training in blind or instrument flying, he was unable to find his way out. The fire happened after the crash." So that's our story on how we paid tribute to this great aviation pioneer. That night, we posted coordinates of the crash site to the Aviation Safety Network so others can pay tribute, where it was accepted and updated on January 23rd, 2021. I appreciate you all watching, and hopefully you got something out of this. I know I did, and I know my friends did as well. Vermont Prepper out, and as always, keep prepping. Take care, everybody.